All right, race fans, we're back in action. Another week of racing behind us. And I was just talking to Changa off the mic here, Bert. Beginning of May already. It's like, holy shit. I can't believe how fast everything goes. You know, life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes. And that's exactly what's happening. It's like, holy crap, it feels like it was Christmas 2 weeks ago, and the Dome was 4 weeks ago. Absolutely unbelievable. So, episode number 258 of the One to Go show, as always. You got your host here, Ryan Aho, and we have former track champion of the Pure Stocks at the Proctor Speedway, multi-time crew chief on a national championship team. We got Changa in the house. And Changa, I'm glad I did not have my Rico shirt. I had my Rico shirt on a little bit ago, and I got a stain because I leaned up against something in the truck, and I'm like, I'm going to change. Glad we're not twinning again. That would have been terrible. I mean, I love you, but I don't really want to wear the same clothes every single week. And then, of course, we have the former editor of the Full Throttle magazine, big race fan over in Eastern Wisconsin, one of the historians of the sport over there. He's kind of the guy at the Shawano Speedway. Bert Lehman in the house. Bert, how you doing?
I'm doing good, and the Spider-Man is back racing tonight. I heard he's racing tonight. Jeep Van Warmer, he's one of my favorite drivers, so I'm glad to see him back out there.
Well, it's Wednesday night. Show's going to post on Thursday, and Spoon River's on. I got it in the background. You see I got a little bit more light. I was able to kind of do a couple things. As it sits right now, a lot of cars left to qualify in Group 2. Jeep Van Wormer right now, fourth quick. And I think he's going to fall down through there, but put together a pretty decent lap. But they're at Spoon River tonight. What's that, Changa?
Said he's fifth on my screen.
Yeah, he's fifth now, and I think he's going to slowly go down. Only 12 cars have qualified, so yeah, he's for sure not going to be last. So that's good. He's ahead of Gundaker, and he's ahead of T-Mac, both Gundakers actually. So we'll see what happens. So as always, this show brought to you by our friends at Impact Health Sharing. You know, a product that's been absolutely fantastic throughout the country. You know, healthcare has become a huge problem. Let's face it, it's a huge problem in this country. The rising costs, whether it's just getting stuff done at the hospital, right? Your, pharmaceuticals or health insurance costs in general, it's absolutely unbelievable how much stuff costs. And, I looked at this here a couple of years back as an alternative to overpriced health insurance, and it's been fantastic. I mean, you're literally looking on average, guys, cutting premiums in half, very affordable on the deductibles as well, whether you're self-employed, you're a family, you're a business owner, small business, maybe 50 or less employees. It's probably be a pretty good fit for you. And see if we can help you out. See if we can save you some money. You can go to any doctor that you want as well. They got dental, they got vision. It's been a great deal. That's Impact Health Sharing. Reach out to me on 218-969-1380, or you can fire over a messenger on Facebook, text me, call me. I can get you a quick quote. I can get you the information you need to see if it's going to be a good fit for you, and if it's something that can help you out, save some of that money, spend it on cool shit like race car stuff. That's a lot more fun. Or food. We're going to talk about food later too. All right. So we had a few of us go to some races. Changa, it's still subarctic temperatures up there in Wisconsin. I looked at Superior. What is it, like 44 degrees up there right now? I looked earlier. It's still freaking cold up there.
I shit you not. So yesterday we had a high of 84, right? I got to work today. I looked at the Weather Channel at about 10 after 9 in the morning. It says 44 feels like 35.
Yeah, no, thank you. I do not miss that one bit. And think about Uper, probably snowing up in the UP because that's what it does. So, yeah, absolutely crazy. Now, Bert and I, we went to some races this past weekend. I know, Bert, you went to Shawano's opener, didn't you? They got things underway. Well, tell us a little bit about that. And it sounds like they were pretty busy this week too. Talk a little bit about that as well. Talk about the high flying half mile over in Eastern Wisconsin.
Yeah, I went to Shawano's opener. It was a little cool, but it wasn't too bad. When the wind was blowing in, that's when it was colder, but otherwise it wasn't too bad. But 11 late models. I mean, Plymouth Dirt Track got rained out. They got too much rain, so their Super 6 series did not start last week. So I was hoping we'd see maybe a couple cars from the Plymouth area make the trek to Shawano, but no dice. Those drivers just do not travel unless it's for a Dirt Kings race. And I don't know. I mean, one thing, Shawano didn't make a decision as to whether they were going to race or not until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So, if you're 2 to 3 hours away, you don't want to start driving early and then have it get rained out. But anyway, Troy Springborn won the late model feature. Joel Seegert won the IMCA modified feature. Trent Nolan won the IMCA stock car feature, and Jeffrey Teskey won the IMCA sport mod feature. The interesting thing with the IMCA stock car division was no Travis Van Straten there.
Really?
And I mean, he's been in the championship hunt every year for like the last 14 years. And he was not there. I heard somebody say that he wasn't there because he couldn't find any pit crew help. I don't know if that's true or not, but he's done for the championship. There's no way he's going to be able to contend for the championship if you miss a night in that division.
I got to be honest. There's no way that's why he missed, right? I mean, there's no way because, I mean, I raced, and several of us have. A lot of people listening to the show, there's many of us that have gone to the racetrack solo, right? And even me, and I was always the opinionated guy, still am. But I got along with enough people at the track that if I really needed something, there was always somebody willing to help, right? So, and if you don't tear shit up, there's really not too terribly much to do, especially if it's your home track. So, interesting to see. I wonder if he's going to race elsewhere, or maybe he just decided, Bert, that if I eliminate myself, and this is something I've seen people do, if I just eliminate myself week one from the points, I'm not married to it. I can still race Shawano pretty much every week all year long. But if I decide I want to go do something with the family on a given week, I can. I'm not married to a track points deal. That could maybe be the deal.
And what was really interesting is the fact that, Shawano Speedway, each division throughout the season, they race for $1,000 to win for that week. And last week it was the IMCA stock cars. So the IMCA stock cars were racing for $1,000 to win, and he wasn't there. So very, very interesting. Very interesting. That's just put it that
you're
way.
gonna have to do some digging on that and find out why. That's your homework assignment for this week, Bert. When you go there, say, where were you? If he's there, where were you last week? What's going on? See what he has to say.
And we've talked about 141. The number of cars they get. They had 183 for their opener that I went to in April. Last week they had 213 cars for a regular show. They had 57 stock cars and 56 sport mods. So in two divisions had more cars than Shawano's total car count in 5 divisions.
I gotta get there. Gotta get there. I mean, I look at it and we've seen races online, and quite honestly, some of the stock car races I saw there have been fantastic. They've had some really good racing there. It's typically a bit drier. It's not Fairbury where they're banging the boards, but I have seen good races. But the fact that they get that many cars on a weekly basis, Changa, what does that tell you, right? I mean, where is 141, Bert, in relation to, say, like Green Bay, Milwaukee? I mean, what kind of driving distance are we looking at here?
It would be about 30 minutes south of Green Bay, so I don't know, a little more than an hour north of Milwaukee. It's like probably 10 minutes from Manitowoc, if you know where Manitowoc is. It's right off of I-41. From my house, I can get there in about an hour and 20 minutes.
So, I mean, are you looking at, 45 minutes from Shawano maybe, or a little further? I mean, what's the closest track to it? I mean, how many tracks are within, say, 45 minutes of there?
Well, Shawano would be the closest track that races on the same night. I'm not exactly sure how far Plymouth is from from 141. But those are the 3 tracks that race on Saturday night. So,
Well, how about tracks that
well,
race on Friday? Is there a track that races on Friday that's close?
well, Seymour,
How far is that, would you say, roughly?
it probably roughly the same as what Shawano is from it.
Okay. So where I'm going with that is sometime a track that maybe doesn't have anything within 2.5 hours. They get a lot of cars because there's no other options. Everything else is really far away. But there's a couple options that are relatively close. So that tells me that they're doing a lot of things right in the racer's mind to get that many cars supporting that track weekly, and not even for like massively big payouts. Not, I mean, they have some really good specials, but a weekly show with over 200 cars and that many cars. Changa,
Well,
your thoughts on this whole deal? I want to get Changa's thoughts when you hear those numbers, over 50 cars in a few of these classes.
You know, I think you hit the nail on the head. They're obviously doing something right. You know, it reminds me of back in the day with Cedar Lake, you know, when that was kind of the mecca of, you know, racing in, you know, our area, I guess you'd say. And they had huge car counts every night. And, you know, there was other Saturday night tracks, but I suppose there wasn't any as close as what we're talking about with 141 either, you know.
Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, Deer Creek
well,
has good car counts. Thunder Bay, but that's different. There's nothing close to Thunder Bay, right? But yeah, we got to get there for sure. Got to get there.
I mean, there are a handful of drivers who will drive right past Shawano to go to 141 Speedway. Um, well, exactly, exactly, and
Half-mile tracks scare a lot of people away. They just do. You know, a 3/8 mile track. It's a smaller 3/8 at 141, right? But it's a 3/8.
it's a smaller one, and each corner 1 and 2 is different, is shaped differently than 3 and 4. It's kind of a egg shape actually.
Okay.
Um, so they're doing something right though. I mean, they have, to get, and they have a curfew, so I mean they have to be done, I believe, by 10:30, 11 o'clock, I would think, at the latest. And I mean, they keep their show moving, and they hustle it through. I mean, you pull out onto the track and you're racing the next lap. You're not doing 2 or 3 pace laps.
That's impressive. Got to get there. What's going on in Shawano, Burt? With we talked a little bit about they're looking at doing some track prep. Saw a lot of stuff online this week. What's going on with the track over there at Shawano?
Yeah, yesterday, and well, I think they did all the hauling yesterday. The county hauled a bunch of clay to the racetrack, and yesterday yesterday when they hauled it to the track, they dumped it on the straightaways, and then they built a big pile in the infield, and then they brought in a couple of big earth movers, and they filled those up to dump the clay on the corners. So they got the track completely covered with new clay. So now it's just a matter of making it raceable. I'm not a clay expert, so I'm not gonna be negative or positive. It's just when tracks have added clay in the past, they always say, well, you gotta add it in the fall and let it settle and whatnot. But you know, we'll see how they mesh everything together, and we'll see what the track is like Saturday. But at least they're trying to make the racing better there.
Well, I'm not a dirt expert either, but I did stay in the Holiday Inn Express a few times, so I kind of know a little bit. I've seen there's a lot of places that have added clay through in the middle of the season, literally in the middle of the season, and some of them turn into a rodeo, right? But some of them get it right, and it's raceable within a week, maybe 2 weeks. So, if they stay after it, I mean, it might chop up a little bit, but it may not. It just depends. It'll be interesting to see. But like you said, we were talking in the chat. You're like, hey, they're doing something. They realize they had an issue. They want to make it better. So they're taking action. They're doing it. So it's going to be
Right.
interesting to see what Shawano has
And
to offer. Go ahead.
And well, I mean, they're hoping that by adding new clay, that they'll get some more drivers to come to the track, and and race there because, they admit that the clay they added a few years ago was piss poor clay. There's way too much sand in it.
Yeah, and that happens. I mean, you just don't know. Sometimes you try something, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Hibbing Speedway, they're staying busy up there too. Finally able to get on the track. They did not put new surface on. They were talking about it. Barry had mentioned all new surface at the Hibbing Speedway, not doing that. They're going to do that later in the year. That's going to be another track that's going to be adding material during the season. So that'll be interesting. However, this past week they were busy. They put millings down throughout the whole pit. City of Hibbing was a big help in that. So the drivers up there, once that firms up, it'll be similar to concrete, right? It'll be a very hard surface. But Changa, you remember times up in Hibbing, it gets raining up there with them clay pits. Hoofda. It was a disaster some nights. And there was even times, Bert, where the track was raceable. Track was good to go. Drainage was good. Too muddy to get in the pits. They had to cancel because you couldn't even get in the pits. Well, no longer a thing because they got millings down there. Looks good up there. It's going to be interesting to see. They're kind of on pace to open here in a couple of weeks. I know Proctor Superior opening up. So tis the season. 40 degrees in Superior, though. It better freaking warm up if they want to race, Changa.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
We'll see what happens there. So I went to Fairbury this past week. Their opener, I went down there with the One to Go Show 83 car, Dave Dulciek, and they had late models, modifieds, stock cars, and then they have a hobby mod, which is similar to the Econo mod that they have down at Mississippi Thunder, a more affordable version of a B mod. And pretty good car counts down there. I got to be honest, the results went better than the night. The night got better, but Bert, so Dave has raced Sycamore as his home track for the last several years. And that's kind of been his main track. Ventured out a time or two a year at different tracks. And, when you have a notebook at one track and then you're like, hey, I'm going to go to a different track, it's a little bit different. You got to kind of, you may have to kind of have a couple nights in to kind of get to where you want to be. And they time trial everything down there. There's no draw. There's no pill draw. Everything's time trialed. Every single class is time trialed, straight up to the heat, straight up to the features. So as you know, because we're all late model fans, if you time trial like shit, your night is probably going to be in trouble. Let's face it. And stock car races down there, guys, 15 lap features. 15 lap features. It's like, geez, you can barely get the tires warm in 15 laps. That kind of sucks. So he goes out there, he time trials, and car was too tight, a little snug there in time trials, and probably drove it a little straight, but it is what it is. Qualified 13th or 11th or whatever. Let's see, it would have been 4, 8, 12, 13th. He qualified 13th, so right in the middle, putting him third row back in the heat race. Donkey Award to hashtag Falls. We talk, Fairbury's the best freaking place. Best place around. Fairbury's awesome, and it is. They got some freaking awesome racing there. But Bert, Changa, these dumbasses, right, after time trials, went out and right before all the heats, they took all the tires on the bottom and they moved them in about 6 feet. Well, what does that do? That literally makes a one-lane tack ring around the bottom for all the heats. The whole rest of the track is marbles. They ruined all the heat races. One lane on the tires, unwatchable, unraceable. And I'm like, well, this is going to be great. So he gets fifth in the heat, starts fifth, gets fifth. It is what it is, right? And he's running, look at the lineup. He's starting 13th in the feature. I'm like, all right, here's the deal. Extra $100 if you get up into the top 5. I'm thinking, Bert, there's no fucking way, right? I mean, 15 laps, car was a little snug. He's just kind of second night. He doesn't race there every week. Not happening, right? He's running back in 11th, right? And just kind of 10th, 11th, kind of battling in there. There's a caution comes out. Frickin' Talladega wreck in turn 3. The whole fucking field piles up, right? Everybody. He even gets in it. Caves in the quarter panel. No other damage. 6 cars. 6 cars go off the track with flat tires, tore up shit, right? On the restart, he's 4th. I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, well, that's good. He's in the top 5. This is going to cost me $100. He ends up losing a spot on a restart there, gets 5th, cost me $100. I'm like, that's bullshit. Shouldn't even count. Well, it counts. It's still 5th, right? So 13th to 5th, but I think we kind of built a notebook a little bit. He's gonna be a little quicker the next time we go there. We got a few things that we're gonna do. Chase Holland won the modifieds. Nick Seplak won the stock cars. High side hustler Jason Fager won the late models. Now, Jake Little, guys, are you familiar with that name? Jake Little, number 38, red car, local guy, runs Fairbury weekly. That's his home track. He was good. Now, if I said it's going to be all locals, Garrett Alberson's in the house, right? Well, smart money says Garrett Alberson's going to win. Garrett Alberson got 3rd. Jake Little got 2nd. He led most of the race. Fager threw a nice slider on him to take the lead. He tried to cross him over. Fager was just too good. Garrett Alberson had nothing for 2nd. He got 3rd. So as good as Garrett Alberson has been, and he's been really good as of late, right? Local kid up there, Jake Little, looked better than him at Fairbury. So keep an eye on him during this Illinois Speed Week. So pretty fun trip over to Fairbury this past week. So let's go to who's hot and who's not. Let's start right there. We're going to kind of change up the order a little bit, try something. But I want to give a quick shout out to our friend Brad Parson. Brad Parson's Soil and Egg Solutions. Planting season is here. A lot of places, a lot of people already have crops in. If you're further north, probably do not yet. But we do know this. I know nothing about farming. Our buddy Worker Bee, he does, right? They got a shit ton of crops in. He works with Zach Johnson, I believe. I think he kind of works with him, but they got a lot of crops in. He knows about farming. I do not, okay? But Brad Parson does too. But I do know that if you have the right stuff in your spray packages, just like the right stuff on tires that Bert used to use when he was cheating in go-kart racing, same shit. Having the right stuff, you get better results. That's what happens here. You get the right stuff in your spray packages, you're going to get higher yields, you're going to make more money. Why not give Brad a call at 320-219-3542 to learn about all the great products that they have to offer? He has all the data points. He's been doing this for a number of years. He's in the racing industry. He races, for racers, by racers. Give Brad a call, see what he can do to help you out with your farming. Now, let's start with who's hot. Bert, let's start with you. We'll go to Changa. We'll go to me. So we're going to do hot, and then we'll roll back around, and we'll mention a person or two that maybe is not. So, Bert, who's hot?
I'm going. I know we're not supposed to necessarily pick winners, but I'm going to go with Nick Hoffman, just because we kind of put him on the not list last week, and it's the old we talk bad about you on the One to Go show, and then they come out and they prove us wrong. And he had a big win this last week. Plus, he had a 3rd place last night. It was a technically over 2 weeks span, or left over into another week. But I'll go with Nick Hoffman.
And he got 2nd night 1 and 1st night
locally,
too.
I'll go Andy Carr. Yeah. And locally, I'll go Andy Carl, late model driver. He finished 2nd in the feature. I don't know if Troy Springborn was going all out while he was leading, but Carl caught him, and he actually got underneath him when a caution came out. But then on the restart, Springborn pulled away, but Carl had a strong 2nd place finish in the feature. And
this is his 2nd year in a late model, right?
I believe it's at least his 3rd year.
Okay.
But he's definitely a low dollar racer. He still has an open trailer. Doesn't have an enclosed trailer, so it's good to see those racers find some success.
Awesome. Changa, is that Bert kind of cutting out, or am I cutting out? What do we got?
I feel like it's Bert on my, he seems like he's really cutting out bad, but I guess I don't know for sure.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
You were cutting out there a little bit. It's better. It was better at the end there, but maybe you were getting a text message or something. I'm not really sure, but you were cutting. Not a big deal.
Okay, if it gets worse, let me know,
we'll figure it out.
because I'll stop the stream. I'm streaming the race. This is the first time I've done the show and streamed at the same time.
It was good throughout all the stuff we were talking about until that last little bit.
Okay.
So it might have been a text message or
Okay.
something. I'll have to teach that old man, Changa. I mean, you're freaking not technologically sound too. I'll have to teach both of you how to actually properly use the focus mode so that you don't have text interference.
I know how to use the focus mode, and I'm on Do Not Disturb.
There you go. There you go. I'm going to text you just to find out. All right, Changa, who's hot?
So I'm going to go totally off the board here because I'm going to leave you the ones that you want to pick, okay? So I'm going to go kind of a regional super late model driver. I'm going to go with Rusty Schlenk. 5 firsts and a second in his first 6 features this year. Don't get much better than that.
I mean, probably one of the favorites to win the UMP national points in the late model division, of course. And shout out Johnny Bronking, right? They got that domination chassis, I believe it is. They build their own stuff. So his boys in one too. But Rusty Schlenk, super strong over there in his area for sure. You got anybody else?
No, I'm going to leave it right at that. Okay.
So I did have Nick Hoffman on the list too. I did have him. That's the first guy I had on there. But I'm gonna go. I got a couple different people here. One, we don't typically pick winners, but we don't talk a lot about USRA stuff anyway, right? So I'm gonna go smoke Joe Chisholm. He had a big week last week. He night number 1 from 8th got it done. Then he got 3rd night 2, and then he won again at Mason City. But Joe Chisholm, one of my favorite drivers to watch in modified. Then I'm gonna go in the B mods, and probably not who Changa's gonna think I'm gonna pick, right? Because easy to pick Brando or easy to pick, some of these guys, or not, Joey, of course. I'm gonna take Tyler Vernon. Tyler Vernon has been really quietly good. So he's got 1 win, but in I believe 6 races, he's got 4 podiums and 1 win. And he's been really, really good. Keep an eye on him. He's a guy that could contend. It sounds like he's going to race a lot this year. So keep an eye on him to kind of make a charge at the national standings in the Midwest Mod Division. And then we're going to go sprint car racing. Sam Haferteep Jr. There's a guy, 2nd and a 3rd this past weekend in high limit action down at the Texas Motor Speedway. Sam, if I told you with all the guys going down there, the NASCAR guys, right? With the stack field that they got in high limits, if I said Haferteep's going to get a pair of podiums, there's no freaking way. You would have been like, not happening. 2nd and a 3rd. But the hottest driver right now, guys, in Wissota racing is in a Hornet. Dustin Nelson's son-in-law, Tony Jensen, 4 wins, most wins right now in Wissota racing action. And we'll probably talk more about him in just a couple minutes here. But Tony Jensen right now in the Hornet division. So got a few drivers on the hot list, and then we'll talk more about the winners and stuff as we move along. Who's not? Bert, who do you got on the not list?
Well, you kind of brought it up. I'm going to go with the NASCAR drivers. I was expecting the NASCAR drivers last week in the high limit races, be on the podium, here and there and everywhere. And I don't think, Larson may have later in the second race, but the first race when Bell was there and Ty Gibbs, I believe, raced, and there's 4 NASCAR drivers, and none of them made it into the podium.
Yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on. They overrated NASCAR drivers not getting it done down there in Texas. Of course, night number 2, I think Larson got a 2nd, but yeah, spot on. You got anybody else, or is that where you're
at? That's where I'm at.
Changa, who's not?
Wow. I'm gonna watching the race here. There was a big wreck. No, I'm gonna go somewhere that oh ho hum, and I know you ain't gonna be a fan of this one, right? But every week we talk about Shane Sabraski win. Well, he's been a good solid middle of the pack guy most nights in that late model so far this year, and I know it's not been a whole ton of races, but it hasn't seemed to be getting any better either.
Well, Searing TPO and all their rowdy friends are not going to be happy with you because, as it turns out, when we put somebody on the not list, they get fast. 3 Challenge Series races coming up this weekend. Yeah, so and he even noted he's like something wrong with the late model. They said he's working on it, trying to figure it out. Not happy with his results, but it's Shane Zabrowski. I'm sure he probably already figured out why, and he'll be a contender here this weekend. Anybody else?
I got more, but I think that's where you're going to go, so I'm going to leave it for you.
I got two. I got a super stock and a Midwest mod. So if it's anybody else off of that, is that where you're at?
I have a super stock.
Same one as I have, probably.
Yeah.
Your reigning Wissota Superstock national champion, Dexton Cook. 0 wins, Bert, in his first 6 races. Now, he does have 3 podiums. It's not like he's been terrible, but when you're trying to go back-to-back with natties here, and literally, you had some nice front row start. He started front row at Granite City on Sunday, went straight backwards. I don't know this for sure, but I think his shock fell off. Somebody told me his shock fell off the car. Needs Changa. Got to hire Changa to be your crew chief. I think he probably do it for $100,000 a year. Probably, so throwing the name in the hat there. If you need a crew chief, get a hold of Changa. He national championship crew chief guy. Shit don't fall off the car. Wheels, shocks, nothing. But 0 wins in his first 6 races. Yeah, he's on the struggle bus. Now, as hot as this kid is in the modified division, another win this past weekend. Blake Adams in the Midwest Mod division, 0 wins in his first 7 races, 4 podiums, 3 DNF. One was actually a DNS. He hurt a motor right away. But they said something's kind of missing there in the B mod. Not really sure what. I'm sure that old Buzzer will figure it out. But there's 2 drivers right there at the beginning of the year before the season started. Dexton Cook, obviously, and he still is. I mean, we're literally just a handful of races into the season. These 2 drivers, national championship aspirations, no wins through the first week of May. I'm pretty surprised by that. So let's jump into this. Let's jump into our best of the week, brought to you by our friends up at Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating in Ashland, Wisconsin, home of the Galloper chassis. Of course, Chris and the gang, proud sponsors of the #1 series in Wissota Racing. That is the Northland Superstock Series in their 10th year, of course, this year. So they do custom powder coating, sandblasting, fabricating, any parts you need. They service a lot of racetracks up there. Great group of people. Chris is a very, very stand-up guy. If you need parts, you need something built, worked on, fabricated, whatever it may be, give them a call, 715-681, actually 715-682-3278. Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating right up in Ashland, Wisconsin. So, guys, let's go like this. So, Bert, I'm going to go ahead and assume that you did not watch a lot of Wissota racing this past weekend.
Correct.
Okay. So, we're going to do this. Our best grassroots finish of the week, our best grassroots race of the week. And because we don't want to leave them out. And I'm going to lump in the Mod 4s, Pure Stocks, Hornets, Mini Stocks. They kind of, they're in this realm, right? They're in this realm. In fact, the Mod 4s, Granite City on Sunday, 3 cars rolled over in the matter of 2 laps. So they tore some shit up in the Mod 4s. But the race of the week last week, and probably the best finish overall of the week last week, and Tony Jensen beat Bobby Arns on a last corner pass in the Wissota Hornets at Ogilvie, beat him by 0.036, 4th win of the year, photo finish, best race, and they run them last, right? They run them at the end. Run these kids earlier in the program so there's more people there to watch. And let's face it, I mean, some races are good, some races are bad, but these Hornets put on some pretty darn good races. I like to see them run earlier in the program, and I get it. The traditionalists are, run them shit boxes last, but this is a future of racing right here. So Tony Jensen over Bobby Arns, that was the race of the week. So Changa, I sent you guys a clip. Did you get a chance to watch that finish? Pretty good finish there at the Big O.
Yeah.
So I want to give a shout out to them guys there. So best streeter / stock car race of the week. So we're going to go over to Clay County. I know you guys, I don't know if you did, Bert, but I know Changa, you did. Did you watch that $5,000 to win race at Clay County, Spencer, Iowa on Monday?
Well, I watched with you, so.
tell us a little bit about it. What happened?
Oh,
Or do you remember the name?
well, it was Russo or something like that. That won it.
Austin Bronner. Austin Bronner.
Thinking of the wrong one. So no, I'm actually just trying to find it in my notes here. But so long story short, Kelly Shyrock leads the whole thing, right? Shyrock leads the whole thing, and he's kind of running the bottom, but he's kind of sweeping it into the corner a little bit on entry, and the guy kind of stuffed it in there in the last corner and just kind of gently moved him up the racetrack and stole the win from him. And it was kind of perfectly executed and probably anything anybody would do if given the opportunity.
Well, let's back this up a little bit. This is our best old school cool, is what I call it, the bump and run. That's what it is. But so the guy that led most of the race was Cole Sarneski. Freaking Bert's guy, Eastern Wisconsin. I think his family runs 141, right? That's a Sarneski that runs 141. Yeah. $5,000 to win, Bert. He should have won that race. It was kind of locked down on the bottom. He's out there running the middle, the top. I'm like, what the fuck's this guy doing? What's he doing? He's kind of literally like flailing around out there, right? Shyrock started pretty deep, and he actually moved Shelby Williams off the bottom to get up into third and put himself in contention, and then he worked himself up into the lead. Obviously, Shyrock's won a shit ton of races, right? Well, $5,000 to win on the line. I'm going to run you over, Bert. Okay, last corner, I'm going to come in. I'm going to give you a shot in the bumper. I'm going to shove you up the track. I don't care. I'm going to go around you, under you, over you, through you, whatever I got to do. $5,000 to win. I'm going to win that. Now, Victory Lane speech, Bronner's like, Kelly Shyrock's one of my heroes. Like, I love watching. He's one of my favorite drivers of all time. He's going to be mad at me. I'm sorry, but there's only a few opportunities like this that happen, and I got to take advantage. So, tip of the cap right there, Austin Bronner. These drivers these days are soft, right? $5,000 to win. You damn right I'm going to push you out of the way. Absolutely. Do you condone that, Changa?
100%. I'd be pissed if you didn't do it.
Why is Bobby Pierce facing the wrong way in the racetrack?
I was just looking at that too. I didn't even know he was in this race.
Bert, Changa's boyfriend is having a bad night tonight at Spoon River.
Bad.
Like crap.
Was that Turbo?
Yeah, it looked like it.
I think that was Turbo.
Let's see replay. Well, he washed up. Pierce washed up the track. Heat race action. Turbo kind of got into his right rear.
It'll happen.
Oh boy, here we go. More Turbo Pierce drama. This can be fun. Hopefully,
let's get back on track here, okay? I did have I had an honorable mention because you're talking about street stock races.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to go out to Brown County, and I had that one half in my head when I was trying to talk about that. But the photo finish right at the line, Andy Rosso and Trey Hess, and the Rosso character led the whole race, and Hess got inside of him, and I couldn't even, if they didn't have transponders, you wouldn't know who won that race. It was that good.
Yeah, Rosso won. Rosso did get the win, and that was so that's where you were getting the Rosso, and you weren't really sure that you had your names mixed up there.
Well, I had a couple of races in my mind there. That's all.
That was good. Now I do gotta say,
get a spot back here.
He gets a spot back.
Complete restart, first corner.
Oh.
Huh. That doesn't normally happen, does it? I thought.
Now you got a guy spinning out in front of Pierce.
All right. So there is a couple other honorable mentions, right? So in the street stock division, a couple ouches, and not to pour salt on the wound, but what's worse, when a driver clips a tire or when the track pushes tires out or in and ruins the racetrack? Well, these two drivers here, Levi Rant led at Ogilvie, literally had it won. Last corner, right? Comes in the last corner, clips a tire, clips another tire, spins himself out. Jeff Ekdahl steals a win in the last corner. And Levi Rant, 14-year-old kid, good race car driver, should have had that. Absolutely. He won the night before. He won at Fiesta City the night before. He was looking to go back to back. Probably should have. And then the same night, guys, Cody Simful was gone. Bert fucking jinxed this guy. Bert's the only guy in our pick'ems to pick Cody Simple, I think, right? Pretty sure. So you jinxed him. This is your fault, right? This is 100% your fault. Okay,
Well,
not because it's your fault. Take the blame.
You asked, you asked what's worse. What's worse is when the driver you pick is the one who does it,
Oh man,
and you're
so
the only one who picked him. So that's a
right.
4-point swing.
That was, and he had a straightaway lead. He's gone, right? And he monster trucks a tire coming off turn 2, breaks something, rolls down in the infield. Nick Trainer wins. Ben Brose is like, "And your winner, Cody Simple." And he's like, "I didn't even see that." He said, like a little bit later, he had no idea that even happened because he was so far ahead. He was watching a battle for second, and yeah, that ended up being the battle for the win. So couple Christmas presents coming early for them guys. How about this? Your silky smooth race of the week. Midwest Mods, Granite City Motor Park. 1,000 to win, Bert. Your first WISSOTA special of the year. 1,000 to win for the Midwest Mods at Granite City this past Sunday night. Changa, what was your thoughts on old showballs getting her done?
He's just better than they are, plain and simple. I mean, they're all driving through the holes. They're driving in too hard, hitting the holes, bouncing, plowing up the racetrack. He lifts out a little early, picks up the throttle. He's able to keep it on the bottom and just drive off the corner straight as an arrow. And like Joey Jensen always does, he always looks like he's got more traction than everybody else, but it's just the way he drives the race car.
Well, and I got to give a donkey award to somebody on our sister channel here off the Dirt podcast, Kraus. He's like, "Oh, Joey's got 100 more horse, cheating. He's got 100 more horse, and he's got look at him." Bert, it was in 3 and 4 at Granite City. There was a tack strip on the bottom, and you've seen racing enough times where people will kind of overshoot that. They'll miss the bottom on exit, and they kind of lose that speed coming off because they're not in the brown, right? Joey Jensen's one of the best racers at being able to finesse it into the corner, whoa it up. Looks like he's almost coming to a stop, turning the car, and then hitting that brown coming off. Reminds me of Hibbing, reminds me of Ashland. 2 tracks Joey Jensen is very, very good at. And he took home 1,000 to win. And, Landon Rant probably had a faster car. He was really good on the cushion, but a couple too many mistakes. Joey took advantage. Rant, of course, getting it done the night before. But boy, I tell you what, absolute technician. He won that simply off of the patience and being a better race car driver. Super stocks, Changa. There's only one race that looked like it was like a really good race. In the super stocks, there was a lot of super stock racing that happened, but best race of the night had to go back to Granite City. That had to go back to Granite City again. The rest of them were all kind of just runaways. Bert, your front row in this race was your reigning national champion, Dexton Cook, and rookie that won his first feature a week ago, and then he won that night before. He won at North Central, Tommy Bowden, TB81. That was your front row. And if you look at it, you're like, boy, it's Dexton's race to lose. And Dexton come in, he threw a slider on lap 1 and kind of ran TB81 all the way up into the fence on the first lap. And Bowden got him back a little bit later in the race. He tattooed him back later in the race. That's kind of them. That might be fun to watch them too. But as that progressed, Dexton Cook, Colby Keel, Dennis Zeck, Shane Sobraski started 8th. They were swapping spots side by side, racing all over the place. And what would you say, Changa, about 8, 10, 12 laps into the race, Sobraski just said, "I've had enough of this. See you guys." Drove off into the sunset.
Well, I mean, Shane started back in like 7th, and the way I remember it is you had a good side-by-side battle with Dexton and Colby Keel for quite a while up there.
Yep.
And, Dexton was just kind of out of the preferred line to begin with. And I don't know, his car kind of looked a little snug to begin with. But he was rolling it through, and they run side by side. And everybody else is just gaining ground while they're messing around up there. And, finally, old Sobraski gets up there and does what he's done, 900 and however many times, right? And after that, you said Dexton broke a shock, but it, looked like, I don't know when that happened, but he was a sitting duck. And then, what was there? Whatever. Yeah. Granted,
Myers got into second
that's what I
place,
was looking. Myers ended up second from like 9th, if I remember right.
but he never had anything for Shane.
No,
Shane was gonzo. And then modifieds, I talked about it already, a little bit. The race of the week in the modified, Joe Chisholm's charged to the front on the bottom from 8th, night 1 at Mississippi Thunderbird. You probably watched that because you did watch the Dairyland Showdown. That was the most impressive race of the week in the modified division. Wissota late models, I'm going to call this keeping your cool, right? When you have a guy that has 600 feature wins just dive bombing to the inside of you, and you hold your composure on the high side for the last 8-10 laps of that race, getting heavy pressure from multi-time national champion Kent Arment. There's a tip of the cap right there to Trevor Anderson, his first win of the year at Brown County. Kept it nice and smooth. It was top dominant, but I'm telling you what, Changa, how many drivers, when you're rolling the top, and you got Arment dive bombing inside of you lap after lap clean, but you're like, holy shit, it's Kent Arment down there. How many people mess up in that situation, give that race away?
Oh God, the majority, right? I mean, and you can go back. I mean, that whole Trevor led pretty much the entire race there, but he had about 10 laps of Chad Becker dive bombing to the inside of him before Arment got there. And so you got Chad Becker, national champion guy, wins a ton of races out there recently. And then at the end, he's got a handful of laps there with Kent Arment, and boy, that was an impressive run. I mean, he had no lack of pressure at all there. I mean, he had to be perfect, and he was.
Absolutely. So hats off to Trevor, of course, great run. And, they've sponsored the show for many years over there with Dirt Track Supply. So great to see Trevor parking in Victory Lane. So on the local level, I do have a few other notes. And, I want to give a few quick shout outs. We'll keep it quick. That's our best of the week right there. Changa, is there any races that you want to maybe give a shout out to somebody specifically, or Bert on the local level, if you watched any local racing? And then we're going to jump into our event of the week here right after that.
I kind of gave my shout outs earlier.
Tonga, you want me just to kind of run down the races if anything sticks
that
up?
I wanted to say, just talk about in a real quick. Sure. Shout out to Dallin Murdy, his first ever late model win at Independence Speedway this last week, and I think it was only maybe his first or second night in the car.
Yeah, the old game changer himself, and I was wondering why he wasn't at Clay County night 1, but probably focusing on that late model there. But Dallin Murdy's a good race car driver. He's won in stock cars, modifieds now, and late models. He's going to be fun to watch, of course. So we talked about the high limits a little bit with Haferteep with a pair of top threes. We had Brent Marks winning night 1, Rico Abreu winning night number 2. That was your winner down at Texas Motor Speedway. Lucas Oil Dirt late model action this past weekend. They had one night of racing in. Night number 2, of course, had Florence. That one rained out. The Ralph Latham, I did not see. Bert, do you know, did the Ralph Latham get canceled, postponed? What's happening there? Have you seen anything for Florence?
I'm not sure. Okay,
I'm not sure either. But Lucas Oil, and we'll talk about this a little bit later because holy shit, one came off the board right away. But Brandon Overton getting it done. Moran second, Hudson O'Neill third. Your point standings right now, remember, they take your top 4, and Lucas Oil points is what they take. And the top 4 lock into the chase format at the end of the year. Right now, it's 20 RT, Ricky Thornton Jr., Devin Moran, Jonathan Davenport, solidly into the top 3. And then Garrett Alberson, literally 5 points ahead. That's one finishing position in a race, 1 spot ahead of Brandon Overton, and then Hudson O'Neill about 100 points back. So that 4th and final spot is still very much up in the air. It's going to be fun to see what happens. Now, on the late model scene, let's talk about this for just a second. We saw some steam on social media here over the past week or so, and then of course Justin Fiedler on his podcast mentioned Josh Richards has a car together. Mark Richards has a rocket built, all graphics up, basically confirmed that is built for Josh Richards. Sounds like he's going to do some testing. Your thoughts on Josh Richards possibly getting behind the wheel? I got one question, and then I'm going to let you get either one of you can take it. Is this his idea, or is this Dad's idea? Either one of you go first.
I
Well, I
feel
mean,
like it's.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel like it's a combination. I mean, I feel like Josh is probably a little domesticated, and I know he's battled some health issues, but I'm sure any race car driver that's had any level of success, probably the fire never quits burning completely. So I'm feeling, they probably always have a desire to get back in a car, maybe not full time, maybe not race a ton. And I can promise you, Dad, with the way the Longhorns are performing, anybody he could get to go out and do some test sessions to just experiment with some things possibly that could give them some feedback on what they, an experienced driver that could give them feedback in a situation like that is probably desired as well for Rocket Chassis.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about the feedback and the testing. I really hope that if he does decide to race, I hope they do a regional deal. Bert, is there a chance? Is there a chance that he comes and runs a few nights and says, we're going to run the Hell Tour this year? Is there a chance? Could that happen?
Well, I always say there's always a chance. But no, I mean, I mean, I don't know Josh Richards, but just based on some of the stories that I've read about him and his beliefs and everything, I don't think he would do something that he doesn't want to do. I mean, I think if he's going to race, it's because he wants to race, and I think it would it would be good to see him out there. But yeah, I mean, I could see him, if he does some testing and everything goes well, running some Hell Tour races and just seeing how it goes. I mean, I agree with you. You don't want to jump on the Lucas or World of Outlaws scene, after being off for how many years.
Yeah. No, don't throw yourself to the wolves. I mean, a good Josh Richards would be good for dirt late model racing, but just a Josh Richards going out there making laps and running in the back, that would be a disservice to his career. So if he does it, hopefully he does it right. And I guess I feel like if he really, really wanted to, he'd already be out there. I mean, the season, we're already into May, so I mean, the fact that he hasn't even the cars together and he hasn't raced yet tells me maybe he's not super hungry. I'm not sure. I guess time will tell. World of Outlaws, of course, David Gravel, your point leader there, and he won this past weekend. Donnie Schatz finally had a good race. Weird. Eldora, Donnie Schatz, shocker, right? He got +8 to second. They raced out west, guys. Big Sky Speedway out in Montana. Midwest Mods. Tony Liker one night, Troy Liker the other night. Shocker. Robert Petroff, right? Rob Petroff doubling up a pair of wins. Shocker. Late models, Dan Henriksen, Jim Harris, they were winners on each of the nights. He had a doubleheader out there in Billings, Montana. We talked about Trevor Anderson. Arment, of course, getting it done in the modified. So a really good night for old Showtime. Kent Arment, first and the second. Lucas Rodin, guys, a guy that's been super strong. Already a win in the modified division. Had a very strong second behind Kent Arment out there in Aberdeen. Trevor Nelson doubling up this weekend in the Super Stocks, winning at Miller, winning at Brown County. Taylor Schmidt holding off Rodin in the Midwest Mods. Fiesta City Speedway, a little bit of drama in that one, boys. A little bit of drama there. We had old Matt Gilbertson, Lee Gross battling for the lead up front with like a lap to go. And they got together. All hell broke loose, I think, with 2 to go, maybe. And I think Gilbertson went to the back, and Gross might have DNF'd. I think Zach Johnson inherits the lead on that deal and gets the win. So some drama there in Montevideo. Blake Adams in the mod, Travis Scott in the super. Landon Rant, this probably should have been the best move of the week. Should have probably gave him some love on this one. Bert, we're Blake Adams fans. He's a one to go show car, right? Landon Rant gave him an education at Fiesta City. Looked underneath them. Blake kind of went in there, washed a little bit. Next lap, he dived in the corner, and it was a thing of beauty. 18-year-old Landon Rant driving by Blake Adams to get it done out in western Minnesota. So both of the brothers getting it done there. And then we'll head over to Brainerd, TB81 Tommy Bowden, second win of the year already in the super stock. Dustin Holtquist right now, guys, in the Mod 4. So over the last few years, Dean Larson had traveled all over God's creation out west. Hasn't been doing that. I'm not saying he's not gonna, but has not yet. Dustin Holtquist, 3 wins and a second so far in 5 races. Putting his stamp on things right now that he wants to go after another natty. Rice Lake Speedway, this one right here is pretty big. Simon Wallstrom getting it done in the modifieds. Set a record over there. Pretty cool stat line. I should have wrote down the classes. I forgot. But the 5 current classes going on over there right now with the Rice Lake Speedway. Let me see if I can remember this. It's modified supers, Midwest mods, streets, and piers. That's the 5 classes. Bert, Simon Wallstrom is the only driver to have won a feature race in each of the 5 weekly division classes at the Rice Lake Speedway. Congratulations. First win in the modified, and a pretty cool deal to be one of one winning in all 5 classes over there. Guys, Buzzy Adams, he's won in 4 of them, hasn't raced a pure. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to ask you this. Do we get Buzzy a pure stock ride to go out there and be 2 of 2? Or is it a waste of time because Eric Crosby's probably going to kick his ass anyway?
Definitely needs to get in a pure stock. You know what? That's a challenge to Buzzy. I don't think he could even win in a pure stock.
I don't think he could either, right? So I remember back when Jeff Tardy was pretty darn quick over there in the super stocks in Hibbing. You know, we were in the mods. He was in the supers. He was winning a bunch of races. And they had a 1,000-win pure stock special in Hibbing. And holy shit, were the drivers whining when they found out that Jeff Tardy was running a pure stock that night. This ain't fair. This is for the pure stock guys. He shouldn't even be able to race. Guys, he didn't make the feature. Didn't even make the show. So I got to be honest. The only reason Buzzy hasn't done it is he can't win in a pure stock. That's why. That's why. Buzzy, we're calling your ass out, right? You told me, hey, I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna be crew chief now for Blake, right? That's because you're scared of Eric Crosby. Scared of Eric Crosby. All right, there it is, right there. So congratulations, though. That's super cool. Simon Wallstrom, 1 of 1 at the Rice Lake Speedway, making some history over there. Terrence Spacek in the supers, Tyler Vernon in the Midwest mods. Trainer, of course, getting a gift there in the streeters. And I want to give a note here. Dalton Trucon, I think is how you say it. Good run. Really good run. He got second over there. Now, the last several years, 6, 7, 8 years, he was a 6-cylinder driver up at the ABC Raceway in Ashland. That's his home track, right? Literally the only track around that has 6 cylinders anymore. And won a bunch of races in that. End of last year, he jumps into the super stock. It's a handful of races in. And really this will be his first full year in a super stock. Second night out, second place finish, runner-up finish at Rice Lake. So keep an eye on Dalton there. We'll see if maybe he has a little something for him this year. Electric City Speedway, Jordan Tachi in the Midwest mods, Travis Shumati in the street stocks. Cedar Lake, Changa. We got a guy here that you know pretty well, modified winner. Maybe his first win. And for a family that has raced, has a big racing legacy in Superior, Wisconsin. Boy, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, this might be the first ever win for the family at the Cedar Lake Speedway. I don't know if Steve or Ryan or any of them have ever won at Cedar Lake. Jack Revord parking it in Victory Lane in the modified. I believe his first win at the Cedar Lake Speedway. So kind of a cool deal. Brandon Jensen in the Midwest mod. Ken Roan, guy we raced against a bunch here, Changa. Boy, he's really good in that traditional sprint, that non-wing sprint. He got another win, got one down at Cedar. We're going to look through here. Anybody else? Moss getting it done in the late models over at Ogilvie. And Shane Zabrowski in the mods. Ryan Kostreva gave them an absolute ass whooping. I mean, there was a caution too. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Zabrowski and Dexton Cook second and third on the restart?
Well, the way I remember it was, Kostreva drove by Sabraski to get the lead. Sabraski led early. He drove by him and kind of drove away, and then there was a yellow. I know Dexton started like 14th and got third. I don't remember if he was third on that last restart, but I know damn sure Shane was right on his bumper, and he just continued to drive away.
You better keep an eye on this Ryan Kostreva kid this year, because Bert, I'm here to tell you, you put a straightaway, dang near a straightaway on the 7A and the 78K at Ogilvy of all places, right? Those two seem to be the cream of the crop at Ogilvy. Oh, this cat could be tough this year. He could win a bunch of races. He ran really good at the 100 last year as well. So keep an eye on him. Jake Smith, Bob Smith's kid, second generation guy. He got his third WISSOTA win of the year. He got 3 in Arizona as well. So his 6th win of the year already. 3 wins, I guess 2 of them in WISSOTA, 1 at Cedar. Keep an eye on Jake Smith in the Midwest Mod. We talked about Granite, Sabraski doubling up. Midwest Mods, we got Joey. Mike Duval. Remember Mike Duval? Remember Mike Duval there, Bert? Flintstone Flyer? Mike Duval Memorial down at Cherokee. Joseph Joyner getting it done. He doubled up down there, but I wanted to give that a shout out because Mike Duval, I remember as a kid, the old Flintstone Flyer car. And let's see, anything else here? That would be about it. I think that would be pretty much it for the local stuff. Probably missed some. Sorry. But let's jump into the race of the week, the event of the week, because this is the one that we all kind of focused on. We watched it all. But first, a shout out to our friends, Daytona 1 Performance Lubricants. So they're number 1 in the industry. So Buck, the founder of the company, he's in the Hall of Fame for NASA. And for lubricants, whether it's gear oil or motor oil or any kind of assembly lube or grease or whatever it may be, right? Tire treatment, tire cleaner, they got it all. Check them out online, Daytona 1 Performance Lubricants, or check out their Facebook page, or give Chad a call at 507-828-3536 to learn about all the great products they have. Their focus, not only to give you great performance with the stuff that you have, but also to give you the durability to keep money in your pocket, to have a great racing season and not have to replace parts all the time. So Daytona 1 Performance Lubricants, doing it right. So the race of the week, guys, the event of the week, Dairyland Showdown, Mississippi Thunder Speedway, World of Outlaw late models, USRA modifieds were down there. Takeaways, either one of you go first. Your takeaways from the event. I do have the results. I mean, if either one of you want to shout off the winners, that's fine. But what stuck out to you guys this past weekend at Mississippi Thunder Speedway?
Well, probably the thing that stuck out the most to me was a handful of Lucas drivers making the trek to the race after Florence got canceled early enough, so they were able to drive through the night to get to Mississippi Thunder for the second night racing. It takes you back to the old days when racers would basically race wherever there was a race, and if there was a race, they were driving to it.
Yeah, that was super cool. I mean, among them, right, JD Overton, RTJ, Dan Ebert, right? So yeah, super cool to see them guys make the trip over there to make already a great show even better. Brandon Shepard, another guy that made the trip over there. Your winners, of course, night number 1, Turbo Tyler Erb, Nick Hoffman 2nd, Pierce 3rd, Tim McCready 4th, Ashton Winger 5th. Night number 2, the thrill from Mooresville, Nick Hoffman 1st, Bobby Pierce 2nd. Overton, worth the trip, got 3rd. Squirrel Brian Shirley 4th. T-Mac, 2 top 5s. Good weekend for T-Mac. That's a solid weekend for him. Nick Hoffman, of course, 1st and a 2nd. Pierce the 2nd and a 3rd. They're the 1A. Well, clearly the number 1 with Pierce, but Hoffman would be the next guy for sure. But pretty darn good racing. Modifieds, Brandon Davis won night 2, Joe Chisholm won night number 1. That's kind of your results on that deal. Changa, what stuck out to you? Anything in particular stick out to you over the weekend at Mississippi Thunder?
Well, a couple things, I guess. I guess we'll go first off. There's starting to be a trend. I mean, the Nick Hoffmans, the Pierces, even Turbo, And Gustin had some speed this week. Maybe it didn't show in the results, but there's kind of a trend in the guys that typically run well at that racetrack. But also, even though they cut the purse a whole bunch, right? They were supposed to be, 10, 10, 75. It ended up being what, 25 and 30. Even with it getting cut to 30, them guys drove all night long to get there. Showing that I guess it's kind of a destination track that people look forward to racing at and feel like provides good racing.
Oh, 100%. And I remember going there when it was a tri-oval. Shout out, right, to Emmons Lloyd. Back when it was, we called it Tri-Goat Speedway. I mean, it was dark. I mean, it was super unique. I mean, a true tri-oval. I mean, and if you're unfamiliar, right, if you're somebody that isn't familiar with the old Fountain City Speedway, look up some pictures online. It was a big, giant triangle, like literally like the most unique thing you've ever seen in your entire life. And it was a sand pit. And what that place is now, Bob Tim, Tyrone Lingenfelter, what they have done with that place is absolutely incredible. I mean, it looks immaculate. The racing has been good, right? But let's be honest, right? Night number one, in my opinion, the racing was far better night one than night two. Not that night two was bad. Night two was still pretty good. But I think the track was better, still had some more moisture in it night one. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, for sure.
So let me ask you this question. It was supposed to be a 3-day show, okay? But night number one rained out. Will a third day of racing hurt or help that show?
Well, let's be honest. It all depends on the weather, right? I mean, it was cold and rainy. That's what
assuming,
played in.
Yeah, assuming the weather's good. Let's say it's sunny and 75 all week and all weekend. Okay.
I would like to think we'll have 3 nights the same way the second night was.
Bert, will a third night make the racing better or worse at Mississippi Thunder?
I don't think. I mean, they can prepare the track. They try to prepare it so it's the same every night, I'm sure. So I mean, if you work hard enough and work at it, you can get 3 solid nights of racing. And I think
you guys are way more optimistic than me. And I, all due respect to how hard them guys work down there, I have not seen a race in my entire life where there's a 3-day event where day 3 is as good as night 1. I just haven't seen it. Have not seen it. That's asking a lot. Dirt track racing, right? Night number 2 dried out way faster, naturally, right? Naturally, you got more laps on it, right? All I got to say is this. If, in fact, that's what they're going to do and that's what their plans are, they're going to have their work cut out for them. So I wish them the best of luck because I want to see that deal be awesome because the place is phenomenal. But boy, I'm skeptical. Let's say this. I'm skeptical that a third night would even be better because 2 nights is good. You don't need 3, 4, 5, 6 nights of racing in a row at the same track. But boy, I like the 2-day event, but the jury I guess we'll find out next year. That's the plans next year. Turbo's been pretty good, guys. Like, he's been pretty solid. Now, tonight, watching the heat race, he looked like a freaking ping pong ball out there. I'm not sure what that was all about. But, getting that win, I mean, if before the event happened, if I said Turbo's going to win one of these 2, well, would you guys have been bullshit? There's no way Bobby Pierce going to win 0, Turbo's going to win 1 or 2. What would you guys have thought on that?
I would have thought I believe it because that's why I picked him in my top 2 the first night.
So did I. But you got to be honest. I mean, nobody would expect. That's 2 years in a row Bobby Pierce winless at Mississippi Thunder. He didn't win there last year either. And he ran good, right? Second and a third. It's not like he's, Bob.
He would have won the one night there last year, but he got pissed at old Turbo.
Yeah, he did. Yes.
He went from I'm going to win a race instead. I'm just going to go chase down Turbo and hit him back.
We talk about that though, right? Oh, bad, rough weekend there for old Bobby Pierce. Rough weekend to get any wins. Well, how'd he do? Second and a third. That's a rough weekend. You got freaking Brandon Shepard there running back in 82nd getting lapped. I mean, he looks like he don't even belong on the same racetrack, So Brandon Shepard's a guy that he could run in the top 3, 4, and he can get 18th, right? And then you look at Bobby Pierce, he's got a bad night, third. Terrible. Bad night. That's bad night. So it's just, I mean, you look at it, I mean, he's the killer number one. Boy, the modifieds down there, Rodney Sanders struggling a little bit, still right around fifth, sixth both nights, but is there anybody faster in modifieds in the country right now than Chisholm, Brandon Davis? Other than, of course, you're going to say Cade Dillard, right? Because, obviously, but he barely races. But those three, holy shit, are they just a step above? Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
Yeah, I have a question. Where the heck was Strickler? Was he not even there last weekend?
No. And you got to remember, it was only $2,000 to win, $3,000 to win.
I understand, right? But you'd think these guys would want a tune-up for the $100,000 here coming up in like a couple weeks, right?
Well, it all depends, right? Because I don't know what their budget is. I don't know how many cars they have, right? Strickler might only be a one-car deal. I don't know, right? So if he goes and tears it up for $2-3 and he's trying to, race USMTS season, and you're still going to kind of limit. Now, so you look at Cade Dillard's shop, right? He's got freaking 5 race cars in his shop. Why the hell didn't he bring his mod up there? He's got multiple cars, right? He builds his own. So if anybody should have brought a car with him, he was already there. What's that?
I said he was there with the late model anyway.
He was, yeah. I was surprised. And our buddy Dano, right? He was a little disappointed because he picked Cade Dillard. He's like, well, he's bringing the late model. Of course he's going to bring the mod. He did not. I picked another guy, Dustin Sorensen. I picked Dustin Sorensen night one. He sells Longhorns, right? He's a Longhorn dealer for the modifieds. He literally lives an hour at not even an hour. Why? I don't understand why he didn't have the mod there. I mean, I get it. He's focusing on late model, but a guy can do both. But interesting. A couple of the top contenders. Now, did you happen to see the news come out of the modified world
Yes.
that Rodney Sanders got a driver in one of his cars for the big money at Mississippi Thunder? What'd you hear there, Changa?
Well, I was just going to go there in case you didn't hear about it, but sounds like Ricky Thornton Jr. going to be in the MB Custom Rodney Sanders' own ride for that $100,000.
There's a name, right? RTJ, and a good hot rod. He's going to be in an MB Customs. MB's been pretty quick this year. I think they found a little something, so that's good for that show that RTJ is going to be there. Anything else stick out at Mississippi Thunder, guys, or should we just go ahead and move on to the next segment here?
Go ahead and move on.
Brand new sponsor. Want to welcome aboard East Central Sports down in Rush City, Minnesota, your number one source for pit bikes, kids ATVs, golf carts, Toro motors, and a lot more. So, of course, Mac, he raced. I think he's going to race again this year in the Hornet division. Sponsors a lot of events, sponsors some tracks, sponsors some cars out there. And if obviously go there. If you're in the market for any of this stuff, that's your go-to. Check them out, East Central Sports in Rush City, and let them know that you heard about them here on the One to Go show. $100 gift discount on anything that you buy there. $100 discount. Now, I'll tell you this: if you go buy a bottle of pop, he's not going to hand you $98. Okay, so don't do that. I'm saying it's $100 discount on some of this bigger stuff that you buy. Okay, not a candy bar at the counter. So 320-358-1994, or check them out online at www.eastcentralsports.com. That's East Central Sports down in Rush City, Minnesota. Welcome aboard. Thanks for coming on board, guys. So we had a few fans reach out and said, hey, kind of liked when you do racing related, kind of did a snake draft deal. So you got a couple things. Bert has some ideas, and let's start with this one here, right? I'm a fat kid. I like food. It just is what it is, right? I go to the racetrack. I can watch racing online. I want some track food. Let's do 3 rounds here. Snake draft. We'll start with Changa. We'll go to, I don't care. Bert, you want to go second or third? It makes no difference to me. You want to be on the turn?
Doesn't matter.
All right, so we can do that. We'll go Changa, Bert, me then. Favorite racetrack foods. Now, I'm going to preface it by saying, for Bert, for your sake, it can be current, or it can be something that you've had in the past, okay? Or it can be, I'm going to a 3-day event at the racetrack, and shit, we're going to make this ourselves. Something that when you think racing, right? A racing event, racetrack concession, making it yourself because it's a 3-day weekend, something you had in the past, specialty item. Everything's on the board, right? Everything's on the board. Something that just sticks out to you. Racetrack food, Changa. What do you got?
With the first pick in the 2025 racetrack food draft, Chonga's going to say if he goes to a 3-day show at the Cedar Lake Speedway, he's probably going to eat at least a dozen green chili burritos.
I knew that was going to be your pick. Bert's like, I got a pick, and I'm like, and I mentioned that, and that's why I thought of you, because I knew you're the green chili burrito guy at the Cedar Lake Speedway for sure. Bert, what's your first one?
Well, this is a no-brainer since you added in the caveat that we could include our own food. I don't do the grilling, but when I go to the World 100 in Eldora, and I've talked to you guys, I've talked on the show about how well we eat there. I mean, we eat like kings there. The first night we have brats. You know, we start off slow, have brats, and then we work.
Bert, you only get one pick right now. One pick. Come on now. Well, we can talk about all the stuff. You can add that stuff to it. That'll be your second and third pick.
Okay, well, I'll just go. I'll go. My first pick is on the Saturday night. We have prime rib. We have prime rib on the grill, and for dessert, somebody makes a rum cake, and sometimes it's more rum than cake, and it's funny because there's one security guard there. He's a cop, but he works security at events there. And every year he makes sure that he knows where we are, and he comes and finds us. And even the cops have some of the rum cake.
Where is your spot there at Eldora?
Kind of straight back from the grandstand, and
there you go, fans. Look for Bert Lehman. If you're a prime rib fan, you better go eat some prime rib with Bert at Eldora. All right. I'm going to go traditional with my first pick. I got the turn here. In my traditional one, I think back to my childhood, and I still think Cedar Lake Speedway, right? And I could not go to the Cedar Lake Speedway without getting chicken strips with taco sauce. Sounds weird, but I always got chicken strips and taco sauce. Now last I was there, they had picante sauce, but chicken strips with taco sauce. And I always used to get that at the Cedar Lake Speedway. That's my first one. My second one here, I'm going to do what Bert did. I'm going to go a little bit non-traditional, something we make. Chonga's had this Labor Day shootout for many, many years. That's an invitational up at Hibbing, and a doubleheader. And my mom, every single year, would make a porchetta. We'd have porchetta sandwiches, tuna salad, and she would make glazed brownies. And that was the meal on one of the days of the Labor Day shootout. So porchetta sandwiches, tuna salad, and brownies for a meal up at Labor Day. And that's a shout out to my mom, because that was like one of the things I look forward to, other than, of course, winning the Labor Day shootout, because Chonga, that's what we did. All right. That's my first two. Bert, number two.
All right, I'm going to 141 Speedway. A lot of people love the steak sandwich at 141 Speedway, but I'm going with taco nacho salad. Nachos with cheese and onions, and all the tomatoes, all the fixings on it. The only bad thing is you got to kind of eat it quick if it's dusty out. Otherwise, it's going to be filled with dust.
Loaded nachos there for Bert. That's a good one there. Jason Fager leading the B main, drives off the end of the racetrack. Jesus. All right, Chonga, what do you got next?
So would it be wrong for me to go with the taco in a bag or a walking taco? Is that the same as
totally different thing? Totally different deal. Totally different deal.
And with my second pick, I will do the walking taco.
Racers taco, taco in a bag, walking taco, depending what track you go to. Essentially, it's a bag of Doritos with taco meat in it and all the fixings. Absolutely.
Okay,
That was my next pick. You sniped me for sure.
Okay, and so I got the turns. So I'm gonna go back to our racing days when we were poor racing people, and half the nights we were at the racetrack, we would do them frickin' cheddar brats in the trailer, and I miss them days too. So I'm gonna go with the trailer cooked cheddar brats.
Trailer cooked cheddar brats. Boy, I actually have some of them in my fridge here. So I do have them with me. All right, Bert, your third and final pick here.
All right, I'm going to Cedar Lake Speedway, but I just thought of this one. I'm not going with what we talked about earlier. But if Cedar Lake Speedway is listening to this, please bring back the roast beef sandwiches. I love the roast beef sandwiches when you had them. It's been several years since you've had them there. But anyway, I am going with, because every year at the USA Nationals, I got to have at least one cup of the homemade ice cream there.
That's my boy, Jerome Sorensen, actually makes that homemade ice cream.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when I was in Team National, Jerome and Jennifer Sorensen were actually platinums. I think, Changa, you might have met him, maybe talked to him on the phone, probably talked to him. But Jerome actually, yeah, they live right over there by the Cedar Lake Speedway. They make outstanding homemade ice cream. So, yeah, hopefully they're at the USA Nationals this year. I haven't seen Team National ain't been a thing here now for 3-4 years, so it'll be good to see Jerome. Hopefully he's there. Homemade ice cream at the Cedar Lake Speedway. That's a good one. If we're gonna go desserts, right? So I had a couple different things. I think back with I got the final pick here. When I was a kid, I remember they used to have the chili in the cup at Hibbing. It was always good, and I always like a Polish or a brat. Barbecue sandwich is good at Sycamore. But if we're gonna go dessert, I'm gonna go East Bay. We'll go strawberry shortcake, East Bay. So they had the strawberry dash down there, big strawberry place down there. So strawberry shortcake at the now defunct East Bay Raceway Park. So there it is. I got what do I got here? I got chicken strips with taco sauce, porchetta sandwiches with tuna salad and brownies, which I already had at dessert. I guess I have two. And strawberry shortcake from East Bay. Changa, you had why don't you read off your three really quick? Bert, read off your three, and we'll wrap up our snake draft of track food.
So I had the Cedar Lake Speedway green chili burrito, and I had the old reliable taco in a bag, and then I did our trailer cooked cheddar brats.
And Bert?
Prime rib steak that we make in the parking lot at Eldora, and then the loaded nachos from 141 Speedway, and the homemade ice cream at Cedar Lake Speedway at the USA Nationals.
I'm kind of hungry. I'm not gonna lie. That was probably not good for my waistline here. So that was kind of fun. All right, 2025 Pick'ems, of course, brought to you by Brad Parsons Soil and Egg Solutions as well. Myself, Impact Health Sharing, Curtis, Dano, Worker Bee, we all kicked in. That's how we were able to sponsor a car this year. Looking at maybe doing that again. We got to get the word out. We're gonna have to generate some sponsor money. Kind of fun to be able to throw the logo out there on the 40D of Blake Adams. Hopefully see him in Victory Lane this weekend. But our standings right now, guys, 2 weeks in a row, by the way, we talk about the calling out people not hot and then them heating up. A couple weeks ago, I gave J.R. Tardy a lot of shit. I'm like, the only reason we even put him in the pick'ems is so that I can't get last, because there's no freaking way I'm going to lose to a Tardy. 2 weeks in a row, he had the most points. 2 weeks in a row. I guess I better call myself out, is what I probably should do. Not hot, Ryan. Not hot. Okay, that's what I got to do. So, Coach, 187. Changa, 176. I'm at 174. Bert at 164. And Rainman at 162. That's your top five. Then we got Little Walls, we call them. You don't really like that. We got Josh, my buddy Josh and Dano at 161. Worker B at 160. Uper at 153. We got Tardy at 145. Man Bun Dan at 139. Bromance and Beefcake rounding out the field here. And this week, guys, we picked Clay County. That was Monday night, Stock Car and Mods. Tuesday, we picked Castro Flow Racing Night in America at LaSalle. It's, of course, Illinois Speed Weeks. As we speak right now, as we're doing the show, Spoon River is going on. Lincoln, we picked. Lucas Oil late model race at Farmer City and at Falls. Then we got the 3 nights of the WISSOTA Late Model Challenge Series at I-94, Viking Speedway, and Granite City Motor Park. There's a mod special, 1,200 win mod special this weekend at Rice Lake on Saturday. Then we got high limit sprint cars. Of course, I think one of they rained out tonight. Yeah, they canceled tonight at 81 Speedway. They raced Friday at Lakeside, Saturday at Tri-City. World of Outlaws sprint cars up in the Northeast. Going to be the PA Posse versus the World of Outlaws. Gettysburg Clash on Wednesday. Williams Grove for the Morgan Cup on Friday and Saturday. So this week, guys, as far as racing goes, whether it's local, whether it's Illinois Speed Weeks, whatever it may be, really quickly, either a race or a series or something specific that you guys are looking forward to most.
Well, for me, it's Illinois Speed Week. I mean, seeing the top drivers from both National Touring Series clash on the bull rings of Illinois. That, to me, that's the highlight of the week.
Who do you have tonight, Bert? Do you remember at Spoon River?
Pierce and Bishop.
Changa, do you? I know I got Pierce and Moran tonight. Changa, who do you got?
Pierce and Thornton.
RTJ, as we speak right now, leading what B main number 2. So yeah, struggle bus there in the heat. All right, Changa, what do you? Anything specific? I mean, other than Illinois Speed Weeks is freaking awesome. Anything else you're looking forward to other than that, or is that the main thing?
I believe, and I could be wrong because I'm kind of out of the loop. I think my home tracks are opening up this weekend.
Well, Superior and Proctor are supposed to, but it looks pretty chilly. So hopefully the weather turns. I haven't looked at a forecast for the weekend, but I don't know about Ashland. Are they supposed to open as well?
I think they might be a week off, but I'm not sure on that. But I guess, he stole my thunder on the Illinois Speed Weeks, and I guess I could just go Fairbury in general. But I guess I'll go with my hometowns, Proctor and Superior Racetracks.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go. Go ahead, Bert.
I was just going to say, well, he could take the Speed Weeks. I mean, another thing looking forward to, I mean, WISSOTA Late Model Challenge Series starts. So,
you're going to snipe both of us. You're that fucking guy. Okay, all right. Okay, you snipe him, and then I'm going to go ahead and say that. Well, but I haven't sniped Ryan yet. I'll take his too. Well, okay, yeah. So, yeah, you're right. The WISSOTA Structural Buildings WISSOTA Late Model Challenge Series this weekend. Of course, I-94, Viking Speedway, Granite City. That's that is the premier series in WISSOTA racing. That is WISSOTA's actual series. Hopefully, they get a big following of cars this year. A little bit different, not doing the XR Northern Storm Week along with that. They're doing that series, but it's a different deal, not Challenge Series. But should be 3 nights of good late model action this weekend in WISSOTA country. So let's jump into our bold predictions, and that's sometimes. Well, I guess sometimes Changa picks and they're not so bold, right? Because obviously he's leading because he just bunts all the time, tapping in the corner. But our standings there, we keep track, right? We make 3 racing-related predictions every week, and we keep track of correct predictions and then correct percentage. Changa leading away in both. 6 correct. Uper at 4, Bert's at 2, and I got 1 literally, I kind of had to half-ass, kind of throw a dirty slider to even get on the board, and that's the only one I got. And Changa at 42.8 that he's got. That's the percent. Uper at 30.8, and Bert, we got a long way to go. So Changa is leading the way here. We had a few come off the board this past week. Bert, you had 2 come off the board. High limit sprint car action. Specifically Thursday night at the Texas Motor Speedway down in Fort Worth. You said there was a slew of NASCAR guys that were actually there, and you said there'd be at least 2 of them on the podium. Well, that was nice of you. You not only do you jinx them, then you come back the next show talk shit about them. All right, fair enough. I got it. Okay, right. So that was incorrect. And then you said Shawano would have 10 or more late models on Saturday, and of course Plymouth rained out. That probably helped maybe. I don't know if anybody came over. I don't know if they gained any, but they had 11. So you got that one correct. So 1 wrong, 1 right. Uper had 2 come off the board here. He said the smooth operator, Bobby Pierce, would podium all the nights that he raced at Mississippi Thunder and would win at least one. Well, he got second and a third and did not find victory lane. So he got that one wrong. And then he said the Ironman Shane Sobraski would win at least 25% of his features, and that did happen. That did happen. He won over 25% of his features. I had 3 come off the board this week, and I got swept. Not in a good way. I got smoked. I said that Garrett Alberson would be the next non-Lucas top 3 driver to win a race in Lucas Oil action where they were a split field. And the very next day, Big Sexy Brandon Overton won. That was a no very quickly for me. Then I said Minnesota drivers would sweep the odds at the Dairyland Showdown at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. I wrongfully assumed Dustin Sorensen was going to be there, and I was looking at being a Sorensen Davis sweep, and said Jim Chisholm reigned on the parade there, and he's from Iowa, so that was incorrect. And then I said Bobby Pierce, Dustin Sorensen, Brandon Davis would each win at least one this past weekend. Well, Brandon Davis got one win, and I got sniped because only 2 races happened, so that don't count. But it's still Dustin Sorensen, he didn't win. Pierce didn't win, so I got that one wrong as well. So, guys, I suck at this, just be completely honest. And Changa, you had 2 come off the board as well. 1 right, 1 wrong. The one that you got wrong, you said Bobby Pierce would be the next driver to win a Lucas race, not named RTJ Moran or JD. And, well, that did not happen because that was Overton. And then you said at the high limit races at the Texas Motor Speedway, there'd be 5 different podium drivers. There was exactly 5. Brad Sweet, the big cat, was the only driver to podium both nights. So 5 total podium drivers. You got that correct. So, oof, guys, I got to get better at this deal. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. So we're going to make 3 predictions to end this show. Go around the track 3 times. We're going to go Bert. We'll go Changa. I got Youpers here, and I got my own. Bert, your first prediction. What do you got?
All right, I do this all the time. How many races are they racing in Illinois? They raced last night, tonight, 5 races. All right. In those 5, well, however many races they race, if it's rained out, whatever, 75% of the podium finishers will be Illinois drivers.
Wow. Okay. 75 Illini drivers, 75% or better Illini drivers.
Are we counting last night too? Obviously, right?
Yeah.
And
no.
All right. We'll come back to this. All right. So 75% Illini drivers at Illinois Speed Weeks for the late models, correct? Not
late
counting
models,
mods.
yeah.
Late models.
Yes.
All right, Changa, your first prediction.
Well, this is probably not likely to come true, maybe, but I'm going to go with Illinois Speed Weeks. Brandon Shepherd will win more races than Moran or JD. Let me reword that. Brandon Shepherd wins more races than Moran and JD combined.
Feature
races, correct.
Specifically at Illinois Speed Week. So this 5-race swing, Brandon Shepherd will have more feature wins than those 2 combined. Okay. So you think Brandon Shepherd is going to win a race? All right, fair enough.
He's going to win one, and I think the other 2 will lose.
Okay, I think he's cooked. I think he shot his wad. He had his nice little run there, and now he's kind of has his string together of 82nd place finishes. Okay, so we'll see. So Youper's going to go Illinois Speed Weeks too, and this is going to seem like a bunt compared to what Bert did. So he said that Illinois drivers would have 66% or more of podium finishes at Illinois Speed Weeks. Now, he did preface it by saying this. I talked to Youper today, and he goes, I want you to note that I'm not Changa. I'm not a fucking cheater like Changa. This is from Youper. And as it turns out, neither is Bert. Okay, neither is Bert. So Bert and Youper are not cheaters. We're not like, well, hey, can I have a do-over? Can I change my pick after the race already happened? He's not doing that, right? And we didn't do the show till today. One race is already in. And remember, night number 1, you got Pierce, RTJ Hoffman was your podium. So literally 2 of 3 were non-Illinois drivers. So these two, both of them are putting themselves behind the 8 ball after not one night of racing because they're already putting themselves in danger zone. So
did I. Sheppy didn't win, so did I.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, good point. So 66% for Uper, kind of a bunt though, right? Compared to Bert. I mean, what? I mean, we'll still count it. All right. We're gonna go. I'm gonna go Rice Lake Mod Special. Okay. 2 of the drivers on the podium. Okay, the 2 youngest drivers on the podium. Is the A feature already started? Holy shit! I thought the B main was still going.
That's what I was looking at.
That's a different race. This is a different race. I'm like, it's all of a sudden really dark there.
Oh, that's last night's race.
Yeah, that is last night's. Okay, so the 2 youngest finishers on the podium Saturday night in the mod feature at Rice Lake. Wait, 2 on podium at Rice Lake.
Just Caden Blazer, Blake Adams.
If you add their ages together, okay. You know, 3. Yeah, no, we're gonna go 2. We're gonna go 2 because he ain't that old. Yeah, the 2 youngest drivers on the podium at Rice Lake's Mod Special, added together, their age is gonna be younger than Mike Anderson's age.
Wow, what's he? How old's he?
He's got to be. I don't know if he's 50, right? He's got to be around my age, maybe.
Oh, you told me he was 86 on the phone.
He's bigger than me. I did not say he's 86. He's bigger than me. So the young guns are going to be the cream of the crop, right? The two youngest drivers there on the podium, their ages combined will be younger than Mike Anderson's age. So shout out Mike Anderson, 57. Get that shit done so that don't happen. All right, Bert, your second prediction.
Wasota Late Model Challenge Series. Of the 3 races, there will be no repeat winners. All different winners in the Wasota Challenge Series feature winners.
A little parody. Okay. All right, Changa.
I'm going to go to the challenge series and say there will only be 2 different winners. So at least one of them will repeat.
Really? No wonder he's fucking leading. That's a tough one.
Okay, you don't think that's good enough?
No, that's a bunt.
Yeah, Mike Anderson gets 3rd. Oh, that's a good one.
That's a bunt. 2 different winners, probably right, going to be the same guy winning 3.
Okay. So, okay, between
you want to pick one of the winners at least?
I'll pick them both. I'll pick them both if you want.
All right.
TPO and Searing will win all 3.
Okay, TPO Searing will win all 3. All right, so it's going to be Sobraski not winning them all, but okay, fair enough. Had to give Changa a little shit. He's got a big lead there, Bert. We got to try to snipe him into.
Oh yeah, but I haven't pushed nothing forward. You guys push stuff forward. I haven't.
Oh, you have a few. You have a few that you push forward. You still have. You got 3 on the board. I do have 9 on the board though, but I have 7 incorrect. I have almost as many incorrect, and I still have 9 on the board. Holy shit, I'm not good at this. All right, so
you can't make me apologize for you sucking. That's not fair.
That's probably valid. That is, I am really bad at this. I'm gonna have to lay down a bunt here. So Uper's second prediction: World of Outlaw sprint car action up in Pennsylvania this week. Pennsylvania Posse will win 2 of the 3 this week, and Pittman in the 69 car, he counts as a Posse guy. So 2 of 3 will be won by Pennsylvania Posse drivers. I'm going to go opposite of him with my second prediction. There will be 0 wins from the Pennsylvania posse at Lincoln and Williams Grove this week. It's going to be a World of Outlaw sweep. 0 Pennsylvania posse wins, and less than 33% of the podiums, less than 33% of the podiums will be PA posse. So I'm going to go opposite of Uper on this. No wins for the posse, less than 33% on the podium, and he is going the opposite way. They win 2 of 3. All right, third and final one here for Bert.
All right. I talked about this driver earlier in the show. I'm going to Shawano Speedway, and I'm pushing this one forward. Andy Carl will be the late model track champion at Shawano Speedway this year.
Aren't you friends with Troy Springborn?
Troy doesn't race there every week.
All right, fair enough. Okay. Andy Carl, track
The only
champion.
guy that races there every week he picked.
All right. Nice bunt. Okay, fair enough. All right. We got to get on the board. We're all terrible at this. So except Chonga, he's kicking our ass. Chonga, your third and final bunt. I mean prediction.
So since you guys are like making me feel bad about my skills, so what did Jeff say about the Pennsylvania posse? How many podiums were they going to have?
He didn't say anything on podiums. He said they'd win 2 or 3.
They'd win 2 of 3, and you said that they'd get how many? What was yours?
0 wins, less than 33% of podiums.
Okay, I'm going to go Pennsylvania posse, 0 podiums.
0 podiums. That is definitely more bold. That is more bold.
So you can't freaking mash on me if I get that one right, because it's more bold.
That is 0 podiums for the posse. All right. Okay. I'm gonna go my third, or Uper's third and final prediction was Soda Late Model Challenge Series. The 1 TPO Tyler Peterson will podium at all the Challenge Series events this week and will win at least 1. I had something similar, but a different driver. I'm going to say Cole Searing will podium all 3 nights and win at least 1. We could both be right. We could both be wrong. But those two are 1A, 1B right now, of course, Nebraska. But there's some good cars in that deal. But those two have to be the odds-on favorites to win. So that's our predictions this week. We are done before feature time here, so we're going to jump off, watch Spoon River. But Bert, you going racing this weekend? You going to Shawano?
I am not racing this weekend. The Lions Club that I'm a member of, we have our spring steak fry this Saturday, so I'll be working at that.
You did mention that. Chonga, if Superior or Proctor race this weekend, are you thinking maybe you might hit one of them?
Well, I suppose it's a possibility, but Chonga doesn't go outside if it's under 80.
That unless there's a bonfire. If there's a bonfire, he does. So I'm not 100% sure. If I end up back in Illinois this weekend, then I am going to go to Peoria on Friday with the 83 car. They got a special there in Peoria for the stock cars. I might end up going up north for Mother's Day. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully they get things squared away here. But with that said, want to wish a happy Mother's Day to all the race moms out there listening. Of course, our moms, of course, and that's this Sunday. So we got to make sure that's a special day for them. But as always, I'm Ryan. That's Chonga. That's Bert. Thanks for tuning in to the One to Go Show.